But ain't no fun if a king ain't got his queen, though. I'm talking about matters of the heart. You dig?
After being run out of Atlanta by the threat of Detective Bryant putting handcuffs on Terry and Meech after he arrested Denise, as well as almost being run off the road by Lamar, we saw the Flannery brothers finally make it to Atlanta. They met Earl, Goldie, and Ty, where they left a bit of an impression on Goldie, but it was tough for the brothers. They were starting from scratch and in a drug drought, which made things even more tough. Back in Detroit, Lamar was running things on the street, causing terror and fear amongst everyone, but not everything went his way or as he hoped. While Lucille was on her church retreat, Charles found comfort in Maybelle, and with the family split into two already, this will probably be the cause for a further split. Meanwhile, on the law enforcement front, Detective Brian and Jin tried to push Denise to snitch on Meech and Terry, but Monique came to the rescue, and it seems like they may have a new target on their investigation board, K9. Now, once you taste a game, you never lose that sensation. Such was the case for Terry. The car journey down to Atlanta reminded them of their long car rides when they were kids. But with Meech finding a school textbook of Terry, he tossed it out the window, which was saying goodbye to his education and later confirming his return to the BMF. Back in Detroit, it was business as usual for Detective Brian and Jin. In episode 4, we saw them pick up Denise with 3 keys, and with her not really being in the game, and also having to think about her son, all eyes were firmly on Denise and whether or not she'd talk. Detective Brian put a lot of pressure. She was looking at a hell of a long time, but with Detective Brian, she wasn't after Denise, he was after Meech and Terry. But in came Monique, who offered Denise a better deal. Do some time, and Meech and Terry will take care of Denise and her family financially. This is exactly what the real BMF were known for. They always took care of their people and their families, which is why it took so long for law enforcement to catch up with them. They had a tight group, a very loyal group, but loyalty costs you money, a lot of it, and Meech and Terry weren't exactly flush at this moment in time. But as a start, Meech beat down his cousin James for making money off his weight and took his ride.
Forks in the road can be illusions. Sometimes no matter what path you choose, you end up exactly where you was always supposed to be.
Now, with Meech and Terry trying to make it in Atlanta, back home, we had a worried Lucille and Charles, and to take things off her mind, Lucille wanted to go on a church retreat. Of course, Charles refused, and Lucille, still having trust issues, went through his briefcase, but it seems like Charles has learned his lesson after last time. He's found a new home for his porn magazines, except he doesn't need them anymore because he's been cheating on Lucille with Maybelle, with Lucille accusing the wrong woman and with Lucille believing she had it wrong this entire time. She finally gave him some, but with Charles knowing he's fucked up, this awkward look said it all, so this story is far from finished. Now, before we get to Atlanta, let's stay in Detroit. With Meech and Terry having been run out of town, Lamar was now running these streets, and he was causing terror and fear among everyone that came in his way. And Jeremy giving Lamar a loose burger was actually an Easter egg and a callback to season 1.
I don't want a loose burger. Chili cheese fries, extra cheese.
I'm sorry, we changed our menu. We don't sell loose burgers anymore.
But in the grand scheme of things, Lamar had bigger fish to fry. In his words, as God was his witness and as the devil was his hand, he wasn't leaving Earth until he bodied Meech. So he still firmly got his eyes on taking out his #1 enemy as he continued to tax those around him. But this was no fun for Lamar because a king needs his queen, and those who follow my power breakdowns know I've been breaking down this new season from the theme of chess because it's about to be a chess game. But the same goes for Lamar in this instance. A king needs his queen. He's got a second chance at life, and so he wants Monique and Zoe back, although Monique took no chances. She'd already sent Zoe away. But Lamar made it known how when his mother died, it fucked him up, and all he ever wanted was revenge. So Lamar may be a few things, but what he said in this moment definitely got Monique thinking. But at this moment in time, I don't think Lamar even knows she's had a baby with Meech, so let's see what that info does to him because he still wants revenge. We saw him turn up at the Flannery house at the end of the episode with the sole purpose of hurting Meech's family, because the one way to bring Meech and Terry back is to go after their loved ones. But Lucille prayed with Lamar, and he realized this isn't Lucille or anyone else's fight, it's between Meech and Lamar, Batman and Joker. So let's see what happens between their rivalry, but we also know this is where Meech and Terry start to grow their connections in Atlanta, so let's bring it back to Meech and Terry. Now Meech and Terry met with Earl, who they met through K9, and Meech explained how things were tough during this drought, and this is where they heard about this kid named Pine. Now Pine could turn one bird into two, but Terry didn't believe him, which is why he said point him to the hottest dice game in the city. So Earl took him to Goldie's strip club. Now this was Goldie's introduction. She showed that she was no nonsense and someone who could hold it down. She's definitely tough but fair, and gives Terry an opportunity to roll some dice. But for those who noticed, these dice were switched and it was very quick but subtle. So they were back to square one. But Meech is someone who's always remaining very positive. Chances make champions is what he told T, and this goes back to the very beginning of season 1. Meech always had the vision, but Terry was the brains, and throughout episode 5, Meech never stopped believing they could be champions, and so they met an old friend in Atlanta, Ty, who couldn't exactly help them in this drought, which put them back to square one once again, which is why we saw them come back to Goldie. They were pissed at the fact Terry was cheated during his dice game, but Goldie makes it clear this is ATL and nothing comes for free. So Meech made her a promise they'd make her good once they were straight. So Goldie took her to a game run by a guy named Mike, and with Terry already in position, Meech introduced himself as Rico Seville, and they both cleverly worked together to clean up, which pissed Mike off, so he switched the dice. But that didn't stop Meech and Terry from winning big, but when they did, it was game over. But that didn't matter for Meech and Terry, they came and they won. And so they had enough money to buy some product from Ty. But remember, they were still in a drug drought, and their money didn't buy them much. So they approached Pine, who was right in front of them this entire time. And they knew it the moment he was looking at them earlier in the episode. Pine was a guy who could flip these bricks and make them double what they were. But as Goldie said in Atlanta, nothing comes for free, and it was gonna cost them. But Meech and Terry didn't have much choice, so they sat back and watched Pine work his magic. Which means Terry and Meech are now back in the game. A game which Terry admits he never left, but I think we all know he tried. He tried to go legit and it never worked, so he's back in with the BMF 100%. Because as the older Terry did say, he was lying to himself this entire time. The truth is, he was finally back on the road he wanted to be on the moment he set foot in it. Now elsewhere, we had Detective Brian's son Kevin facing the same issues as before, being bullied in school with Jin overhearing. Brian tried to do things the right way, as any parent would, but Kevin refused to snitch, because we all know what happens to snitches, and that would only make things worse. And after Jin explained the story of how her sister was killed in an abusive relationship, this put things into perspective for Brian. He didn't want things to be the same for Kevin. If he didn't take action now, then he knows what could have happened, which is why he has beat Mickey to deal with the situation. Whether that solves the problems or makes things worse for Kevin, who knows, but let's wait and see. And with that being said, that's a breakdown of BMF Season 2, Episode 5, an episode where Meech and Terry had to dig really deep to make it work during this drug drought. On the other side, Lamar continues to cause terror in Detroit. But after hearing he came to the front door of the Flannery house, what's Meech's next move? Drop all your thoughts down below on all things BMF Season 2, Episode 5. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.